Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Entrepreneurs Everywhere. My name is Naomi Jackson, and today I have the pleasure of interviewing Miss Chef Melissa Rasmussen, and she is the owner of Catering by Chef Melissa and is an owner of a commissary. So, Melissa, good morning.
Good morning.
So, tell us a little bit about yourself and your businesses.
Well, I grew up here in Merced County, and I always knew that I wanted to be the boss, so to speak, and have a business. From a pretty early age, I would say I was definitely in the beginning of my 20s that I had that realization. And at that time, I wasn't sure what business I wanted that to be, but I did know that I wanted to have my own business at a very young age. I was going to Merced College and had plans to, go to a 4-year school after that. And I came to the point where I was cooking for my friends and my family. I was making wedding cakes for people. I was doing all these things on my off days, on my weekends. And so I realized that I wanted to be a chef. And when I was probably about 22, so I kind of changed my trajectory of what my life plan was and decided to go to culinary school. So that was really the beginning of me putting together this business that I had today.
Really cool. So what were you originally going to school for?
I was studying ag business. I grew up on a dairy farm in Merced County, and I was going to do something into that industry. So I've always enjoyed talking to people and public speaking. So I wanted to do something where I could interact with people, and I was very passionate about how I grew up and wanted to be a part of that industry. So that was my first plan. And then after I started cooking, that was a different level of passion.
So after you did culinary school, what were the steps that got you into catering?
Well, while I was going to culinary school, I worked part-time for 2 ladies that had a catering business in Cortland, Oregon. And I remember as I was going to culinary school and working for them in the evening and on weekends, I thought, I am never having a catering business. This is too much work. You have to load everything up, transport it, unload everything. I think my 2 classes that I enjoyed the most in culinary school were probably my pastry, baking, and in the fine dining restaurant. I was mostly doing personal chef service, where I would go into people's homes when they were at work. I would cook meals for a week or 2, package them all up, put them in the refrigerator and the freezer. And I did that for about 2 years. And I enjoyed that, but what I missed in that was having the interaction with people.
So when you got into the catering business, what made you choose this specific location that you're at today here?
Well, after culinary school, I lived in the Portland, Oregon area for about 9 years. So that's where I originally started my business, was doing personal chef service, and that evolved into doing more catering as opposed to personal chef service. So I really did everything from preparing meals for people in their homes, to doing private dinner parties. I started networking and really trying to drive the catering part of my business. I joined a couple networking businesses in that area and got some really great contacts. People that worked or were vice presidents of banks, and some political connections that I started doing catering for. So, and there's always wedding catering. So that's how I started my business.
So Melissa, it sounds like you've had a great experience with your business ventures. Are there times that you remembered where you felt discouraged about your businesses, and how did you get yourself out of those situations?
Definitely. I think really, being an entrepreneur and having your own business is more of a way of life as opposed to going to a job. You really have set boundaries for yourself. And I think that was something that at the beginning of my career, I didn't realize, because I was like, I'm going to take every job that comes my way or try to get every job that comes my way. And I just want to grow, grow, grow. I want to see that revenue. And it took me a while to get to the point where I kind of delved more into the numbers of things and really crunching down on what made the most revenue and focusing on those things. And then also my time.
Well, I'm glad you're still here and you succeeded to hoist top times. So when you first started your business, your revenue that you were talking about earlier, how did you start building more traction on revenue? You said you started crunching numbers in step, but what would you say would be a moment of time where you felt like, okay, now I'm starting to get the hang of things and building more profit?
So when I first started my business, like I said, I was doing personal chef service. So I had very, very low overhead in that business model I was doing. Basically I would meet with the client. I usually meet them either at their home or I meet them at a coffee shop or something. And I kind of had an intake form and we chat about what they wanted. I schedule their cooking day. I go shopping, buy things, take some of my equipment, not a lot, but, measuring things, knives, bowls, baking pans. I take that to their home and cook for them in their home, package things up and clean up the kitchen, and I was done. So I always had a website, and I always was involved in some sort of networking group and, Chamber of Commerce. I did some leads groups when I first started my business in Portland. So I started with I was looking over your questions, of course, you gave me for this interview, and that was one of them, and I really had to think about that. I probably started with about $800. It was definitely under $1,000. So I had a good set of knives, but other than that, I had to buy some other equipment. It wasn't anything crazy. Good. That's really where I started. And then, as I grew into my catering business, each large job, I'd buy another piece of equipment.
So thank you so much, Melissa, for sharing a lot about your business and your upbringing and everything. Can we get a little bit of a tour of some other behind the scenes things that your business utilizes?
Okay, let's do it.
So we are in your kitchen right now as we speak. So can you let us know what is on back here? What business process?
Okay. Well, that varies kind of week to week, depending on what our production schedule looks like. For my clients that we deliver to twice a week, at the lodging facility, we prepare all of their food that they sell in-house. So grab and go items, salads, burritos. You have a variety of things we do for them. And we always have one day of production, the next day we deliver for them. So that's something that we write on our dry erase board of what their order is every week. And then I've got staff that specifically works on that. If it's a week where we have events, then I've got all of my orders for the week posted so my staff can see them, and a more detailed list of what needs to be produced here at the kitchen. A lot of times, depending on the scale of the event. Our schedule just changes weekly. This particular week right now, I don't have any events this week, so we just kept our normal 2 orders that we're doing this week. So we were focusing on deep clean this week. There's always things to be done. And when we're super busy, if we have a week where we have, say, 3 or 4 events and our regular orders, then it's hard to get to some of the other things that, cleaning the inside of the oven, cutting in the hood. So when we have our slower times, we definitely kind of switch gears and, we're reorganizing things. We're doing deep cleans and kind of making plans of how we can structure the flow of things for when we do get busy. So it's always an ever-changing scenario.
So Melissa, so I do have one two last questions to ask you today. So, who are your role models and why?
Well, when I think about role models, I've had many in my years that I've been in business, but without a doubt, my first role models and people that I looked up to most are my parents. Um, just, growing up on a farm and watching how hard my parents worked and how passionate they were about their business really instilled a lot of my core values uh, in myself. So I definitely have to say my parents. And yeah, I'd have other role models, of course, over the years, but they're definitely the ones that are at the top of that pyramid.
Thank you for sharing, and thanks to your parents, your daughter is wonderful. A business owner in person. Okay, so what book would you recommend to entrepreneurs like yourself? And what is the biggest lesson you learned from that?
Okay, but I would say business related. Probably there's a book called Setting the Table by Danny Meyer, and it focuses on hospitality in business, and not just catering or restaurant, but really has a lot of great lessons for any type of business that you're in. And if we just go back to what I touched on, what I touched on earlier is, you know, how people feel when you have interactions with people, how you leave them feeling is not only in business but in the right too. So,
Thank you for sharing. And thank you for coming on today for the interview for entrepreneurs everywhere. And next time that you're in Atwater, California, give Melissa a call and maybe she can cater your next event. Would you guys have a fabulous day? Bye, guys.